Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory. This is a live look at the view from the 14 News Studio tower camera. Kind of a mix of sun and clouds out there. It's mainly dry across Indiana and Illinois, but there are a few spotty showers, especially in western Kentucky, and that'll be the case through this afternoon. Looking forward, though, over the next few days, we'll see those heat index values returning to the triple digits, starting as early as tomorrow, but especially as we get into Saturday, Sunday, Monday and Tuesday of next week. Then by the middle of next week, things start to return back to normal. But we do have some very dry conditions on the way. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Here's a loop of the satellite and radar over the past few hours. You can see we've had some clouds moving through the tri-state and mainly in western Kentucky, just a few very spotty showers and storms. If we zoom in a little tighter on those, you can see a little bit of rain in Hopkins and Ohio counties, but the heaviest rain and the only lightning in the tri-state right now is just to the southwest side of Greenville there in Muhlenberg County, and then there's some more heavy rain and thunderstorms as you get just out of the tri-state into Christian County. But really, aside from just these few very spotty showers and storms in western Kentucky, it's mainly dry across the tri-state, and that's going to be the trend through the rest of this afternoon. An isolated shower or storm certainly possible. Best chances for that would be in western Kentucky. Any rain we see through this afternoon and evening, though, will then taper off as the sun goes down later tonight. Tomorrow we see a similar story, mostly sunny, but a stray shower or storm could pop up in the afternoon, but any rain we see would then taper back off as the sun goes down Friday night. And there's an even more isolated chance on Saturday. I really think we'll probably stay mainly dry on Saturday, but I can't rule out a stray shower bubbling up in the heat of the day, then tapering back off as the sun goes down Saturday night. Not expecting severe weather of any kind. Our rain over the next few days will be very, very isolated, and what little rain we do get will mainly be just a few showers, maybe a stray thunderstorm with a pocket of heavy rain and a few rumbles of thunder, but that would be about it. As for our temperatures, you can definitely tell where it has been raining recently. It's 82 right now in Evansville, or in Madisonville, I should say. They've got a few showers down that way. In Evansville, it's 90 along with Grayville and Oakland City. Henderson, warmest spot on the map at 91 right now. And when you factor in the humidity, it does feel a few degrees hotter than it actually is. I think we'll tack on a couple more degrees this afternoon, topping out in the low 90s in most locations. And then we'll drop back through the 80s this evening. And as the sun begins to set, not only do the temperatures drop, but any chance of rain tapers off as well. Something else that I think will happen, though, as our temperatures begin to drop is some areas of patchy fog will develop late tonight into early Friday morning. So that's something we deal with pretty regularly this time of year. It shouldn't be a big shock, but just be on the lookout for that. If you're going to be out early tomorrow, you may have a little bit of patchy fog on your way to school or work. Once the sun gets overhead, though, that fog should really burn away pretty quickly. Our temperatures will bottom out in the low 70s by the end of the night tonight, and then tomorrow, once the sun gets overhead, the fog burns away and those temperatures quickly climb through the 70s and then through the 80s. We'll eventually top out in the low to maybe even mid 90s in some locations tomorrow afternoon. It will be mostly sunny, and again, can't rule out a stray shower or storm in the afternoon, but I think most of us will stay dry. It is going to be hot, though, and it's only going to get hotter. I mentioned tomorrow, highs in the low to maybe mid 90s. That's about 5 degrees warmer than average for this time of year. We would normally top out in the upper 80s, but then we're running nearly 10 degrees warmer than normal as we get into the latter half of the weekend. We're talking highs in the mid to even upper 90s as we go through Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Then we start to cool down as we get into the middle of next week. You, of course, have to factor in the humidity as well. The heat index will probably peak close to 100 tomorrow. But then we're expecting a heat index between 102 up to maybe as high as 106 through the weekend and into the first couple of days of next week. So again, Saturday through Tuesday seems to be the peak for that heat. You can see that heat kind of building in over the next couple of days. So by Saturday, we'll be right at the cusp of a moderate to major risk of heat-related illnesses like heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Then that major risk really takes over Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But then on Wednesday, a cold front comes through and that will break that heat and humidity. It won't bring us much in the way of rain. There's just a few clouds and an isolated chance of a few showers and storms Wednesday, Thursday. But we will see that break from the heat with temperatures dropping back into the upper 80s to low 90s, which is pretty close to where we should be this time of year. But the humidity is where you'll see the big change. I really think we'll see a pretty good drop in the humidity as we get into Wednesday and Thursday of next week. And with that, we will then see a pretty good drop in the heat index as well. Let me take a quick check-in of the comments, see if anybody has any questions. The only comment I see so far is from Laura Gray, watching from Dawson Springs, saying it rained during lunch at her work, especially down in western Kentucky. You are dealing with those spotty showers and storms, but like I said, many of us are dry. I do want to give you a quick look ahead even beyond the 7-day forecast. So if we look ahead to the extended outlook from Friday, August 22nd up through the 28th, notice cooler than average temperatures to our north, warmer than average to our south, and here in the tri-state we see a return to normal. So that would most likely mean quite a few days in the upper 80s as we get into the middle and second half of August here, maybe even some mid 80s. So warm but not uncomfortably so. An interesting thing, though, is we do see a trend toward below average precipitation, and maybe pretty seriously below average precipitation. I mentioned that drop in the humidity as well. In general, it looks like things are really going to start to dry up as we get toward the end of this month, and we are now outlooked. You see that brown sort of orangish circle there. That is an area stretching from about Evansville down to the southwest across the state of Arkansas and into parts of Oklahoma that is outlooked for rapid onset drought. So by the end of this month, we could see drought quickly starting to set in across the tri-state. There's also an area stretching from about the edge of the tri-state west into Missouri and Kansas there that is outlooked for possible extreme heat. I mentioned that it looked like they were going to have warmer than average temperatures to our southwest and then cooler than average to our northeast. So here in the tri-state, I'm not real worried about an extreme heat event, but we could be dealing with some rapid onset drought. Something else that you may notice is they're outlooked for extreme heat across many western states, but then right along the edge, if you look very closely here along the east coast, you can see just along the coastline, they're outlooked for high winds, and that will be due to Tropical Storm Erin. We've been tracking this storm for a few days now. Tropical Storm Erin now has winds of 60 miles an hour and is expected to continue to strengthen into a hurricane, starting out as a Category 1, obviously, but then continuing to intensify into a major hurricane over the weekend and then into early next week. If we look at where the models take it from there, though, it does look like this is probably going to turn and continue northward. So not expecting a direct impact to the United States, but with that large major hurricane just off the coast, they will likely deal with wind and rain and some very choppy seas along much of the east coast of the U.S. So still bringing them some impact there, but we're not expecting this storm to make landfall in the United States, and we're not expecting any local impacts. In fact, here, as I mentioned, we're headed into a pretty dry stretch of weather. Any chance of rain over the next 7 days, very isolated. We've got a lot of sunshine through the weekend and into the start of next week. We've got a lot of heat, but then even once that heat breaks, it seems the dry conditions will be hanging around. And by next weekend, we may be monitoring the possibility of drought starting to set in across the tri-state. So that's something we'll continue to keep an eye on for you. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the forecast. Don't go anywhere, though. Jamie French and Robinson Miles will be right back with some of your latest news headlines.
Stay informed on your local news and weather throughout the day by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows. At 8:30 a.m., get your First Alert forecast to plan the day ahead and catch up on the news that happened overnight with the 14 News Sunrise team. In the afternoon, get the latest headlines, forecasts, and a preview of the stories we're working on with the 14 First Alert streaming show at 2:30. And get an in-depth look at the 14 First Alert forecast so you're ready for the next big thing with the 14 First Alert weather show at 9 p.m. Watch the 14 First Alert streaming show that fits your schedule and works best for you. Streaming on your phone by downloading the 14 News app and the 14 First Alert weather app. On your smart TV by using the 14 News streaming app. And stream anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or on 14news.com. Stay connected and stay informed by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows on your favorite streaming devices. Live from 14 News, this is a 14 Digital News Desk update.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for the 2:30 streaming show. I'm Jamie French.
And I'm Robinson Miles. Of course, we like to keep everybody on their toes out there. Some big surprises today, including road construction stories. Yeah. I know, but some reasons for hope for our Evansville drivers out there. So we start there today. Some changes are ahead for US 41 between Diamond Avenue and the Lloyd Expressway. Construction is almost done with just a few final touches left to complete.
Yeah, starting tomorrow, NDOT crews plan to begin the last round of paving along Highway 41. Those with NDOT say this final round of pavement is meant to make the roadways smoother, so that's always a good thing for drivers. Drivers should be aware, though, that this final paving project will cause intermittent closures for about 10 to 15 minutes at a time to allow the crews to go back and forth. Now, NDOT says they hope most of this project will be wrapped up by Labor Day. However, within a week, US 41 should open back up to 3 lanes of traffic, so just a little bit more to go. But in the end, it should be a lot better.
Now, I understand that this was the intent all along, but I feel like some of these have been going on long enough. They're like my emotional support road construction.
I feel
I'm
that
used to
way
it.
about the Twin Bridge construction that they're doing on the Henderson side. I'm like, I believe she's here to stay. I know it will get done eventually, but like, yeah, I see it every day, and I'm like, emotional support construction.
Yeah, when that trusted friend leaves us, who knows what we're going to do.
Oh, imagine 2030 when the I-69 bridge gets done. We're not going to know what to do with ourselves.
I know that area as a gravel field, and it will always be a gravel field to me. Not one time.
It'll be good.
For our second headline today, we're actually going back to the Mesker Park Zoo. A bit of a spectacle there starting tonight. The Wild Summer Lights is a Chinese lantern festival now taking place for the next couple of months.
Yeah, you will be able to walk through a mile of stunning light displays celebrating art, nature, and culture. The limited time festival starts tonight at 5:30. It's the first one. It will then run again tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday nights. That's each weekend now through the start of October. So you've got a little while to get out there and see that. If you want to buy some tickets for that, we have all the information you need to know on 14news.com. I think this is very fun.
I remember when they announced this, and it was hard to conceptualize of what it would be. And now that we're getting like some first looks and things, it looks really fun. Plus, especially if you didn't know anything about the Mesker Park Zoo, these past 2 days of coverage paints a very fun picture of it. Chinese Lantern Festival,
There's a
baby
new
armadillo.
And there was a new penguin a few weeks ago. So lots of babies out there for you to check out.
Baby stuff, lights,
I think it's
perfect night out.
Yeah, it sounds great, especially
so fun.
Now with this Lantern Festival running through October, as the weather starts to get a little more bearable and it's not so hot, that would be so nice. Take a stroll through there when it's a little chilly, start to get that fall crisp air. It'll be nice.
See, I love it when we start to have these events like in the late summer, early fall, to try and like warm people up to the idea that being outside isn't inherently miserable.
Exactly.
It's like, that's a good thing. Just like ease them in. You got to get people acclimated before the fall festival hits.
Absolutely.
So it's like, being outside, it's not all just pain and
And
suffering.
heat. Yeah, no, you're right.
And sweat. All right, well, that's going to wrap up our headlines for today. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us. Of course, we have all these stories and a whole lot more in much greater detail. Head at 14 News at 4, 5, and 6, then even later at 10.
All right, we will see you guys tonight. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.